What's going on, everyone? We are back with another live stream. If y'all are paying attention, we've been doing these live streams. I did miss last week. I'll be the first one to say that. But we were traveling. So hopefully you'll give me a mulligan on that one. But the idea is every week I'm trying to do live streams where we're bringing very interesting topics, whether you are a professional developer working at a Fortune 500 company, maybe you're a junior developer trying to break in, something to kind of keep on your radar. But especially if you're in the freelancing space or you're working at a big enterprise level organization, I think today's live stream is probably going to be a good one for you. And so I have two very, very, very special guests with me here today. And maybe we can do introductions real fast. Julian, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll go to Kelly after that.
Yeah, hey, Danny, and hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Julian Macaño. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. I've been at Docusign for about 2 years, and I'm part of the product team, and I oversee our developer experience initiatives and efforts on the product side. So as you look at Docusign, right, we have many customers and partners actually integrating these signature agreements right into their products and their services. So I have a great, wonderful extended team of people that more or less are in charge of ensuring that customers and partners, when it comes to actually building and integrating with Docusign, are successful. So again, thank you and excited to be here. Kelly?
Nice. Kelly, yeah.
Thank you, Danny, and hello, everyone, as well. My name's Kelly Schock. I lead developer marketing here at Docusign. I've been here about a year and a half now, and my team's responsible for essentially building out our content, as well as community and events, all of our developer activations in partnership with Julian's team and many other teams across Docusign, and also our partners, our incredible partners like you, Danny. So really excited to be here, and just, yeah, thank you for all you and this dot have done in partnership with our team.
Yeah, for those that don't know, DocuSign recently had a conference. It was the first business-focused conference that I have personally been a part of. I'm a software engineer by trade, so I'm constantly going to tech events. This is the first time I went to one that was business-focused, but there was a lot of tech themes involved with it being so business-focused. To be honest, I wasn't really expecting that. And so with that, we had a booth there. And so my experience at DocuSign Momentum was very different than probably the average, because I got to see both sides. I got to see it from a partner who's there trying to educate people on DocuSign apps and things of that nature. But I got to see from the other side as well, as like someone that's enjoying the conference. And so I got to definitely not integrate, that's the wrong word. Interact is the word I was looking for. I got to interact with a lot of the things that they were sharing at DocuSign Momentum. So I thought today could definitely be a way that we could share some of that with the public, but also kind of get a little bit more understanding of like your goals and certain things. And so for those that don't know, Kelly specifically does a lot for the developer communities. And I kind of wanted to ask, especially with DocuSign having IAM and them unveiling DocuSign Iris, obviously there's a big developer focus on getting more developers using the technologies, and you've been instrumental in shaping the DocuSign developer community as a whole. How has the launch of IAM and other things made that shift possible for you? But also, how do you see this being like a bigger play for like maybe the next several years? What do you see your involvement with the communities being overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. Developers historically have worked with us, of course, to integrate e-signature. We're the leader in e-signature, and that's really been the core of how we've worked with our developer audience in the past. Our teams have been working tirelessly to really build out our end-to-end platform. And with that, we introduced intelligent agreement management. So you mentioned, Danny, IAM. Just for those of you on the call may be familiar with our IAM DocuSign platform, and some of you may not. So maybe I could first just take a few steps back to describe that, and then I could get into essentially what our goal is in empowering all of you developers to build across our IAM platform. But maybe let's start with what is IAM? So really, the core message that we delivered at Momentum is that we're seriously building out this intelligent agreement management, or IAM, as you said, platform. So what is intelligent agreement management? IAM, Intelligent Agreement Management, is essentially our AI-powered platform that manages the entire agreement lifecycle, helping organizations create, commit to, and unlock value from agreements to accelerate your business. And some of you may be thinking, why, right? Like, where is Docusign going with this? And maybe Julian, you could dive into the agreement trap and kind of how this all came about.
Yeah, sure, Kelly. Yeah, let's talk about the agreement trap. Every time I say that, it reminds me of Admiral Akbar. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's a trap. So I don't know. Very nerdy comment, but no. What is the agreement? The agreement trap is really our solution. IAM is really Docusign IAM is our solution for solving the agreement trap. So the agreement trap is really recognizing that even though there's been many advances in technology in terms of how most organizations manage their overall processes, still the way they actually manage agreements is very outdated, in the sense of, like, even if you've moved a contract right to be signed from pen and paper to a digital format, there's still big problems, right, that we actually see. And I think we would actually bucket them into like two main categories. One is this whole notion of like the way that agreements are managed across that entire life cycle, right, that Kelly mentioned, across creating the agreement to actually capturing these signatures, to actually managing it. It's still very disconnected, manual. When you think about the information that potentially gets pulled into the agreement, the information that once an agreement is actually signed needs to be potentially updated into like things like system of records, like CRMs. There's still like a lot of manual process, right? Called it technical debt, right? So that's one area where like huge opportunities of like streamlining those processes, bringing more automation, having information flow into the agreement and out through the agreement in a more seamless way. The other area is where tied to the agreement trap is the information, right, that resides in those agreements. We call them, it's locked, right? It's locked in these like static files. And you think of the information, right, that potentially resides there, information about like deadlines, clauses, right, certain terms, right, SLAs. That information is really like critical, right? And it can actually unlock a whole world of like opportunities when it comes to like automation and like business processes, right, or reporting tools. So unlocking that information that potentially resides in like static files, right, is critical, right, as we think about kind of like solving this agreement trap problem. So that's what the agreement trap is like, hey, how do we, and IAM is really positioned to like solve those things. Last year, tied to the agreement trap, we actually partnered with Deloitte, huge consulting firm, right? And as part of like consulting engagement, it was unveiled that there's like over like $2 trillion, right, of untapped economic value that potentially resides inside of these agreements. So we really believe that, with IAM, huge opportunity, huge for like customers, also for partners, right, that potentially are building on our platform. So really excited about, kind of where we're going and really taking, Docusign, as Kelly mentioned, to like this next chapter, right, beyond simply e-signature, right, which is right, in the past where we've actually mainly been recognized.
And just to add to what Julian's saying too, like historically we've been more of a product. We've evolved to become an end-to-end agreements platform. So that means something entirely different for developers now, in that you can build across our entire agreement platform. Going back to create, you can commit, you can manage. Like, we have tools across the platform, and we're opening up more of our APIs. And there's just a world of opportunity there. And to answer your question, sorry, more directly, Danny, really, like, my team's mission is to empower developers, empower all of you to integrate across our platform, to integrate, to extend. And Julian could get more into all that we're building around extensibility, and essentially to scale the Docusign IAM platform to really power this next wave of innovation across agreements. There's just a really like massive unlocked opportunity here, and I'm just super excited about it.
So, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
I want to kind of go back into one area specifically, with not just in regards to IAM, but more about the community as a whole, because I know activating more developers is obviously for business is fantastic, but honestly, just for the community as a whole, I think it's fantastic. Are there some things that are on your radar or that you're planning for this year that you're trying to do to really get the developer community as a whole involved?
Yeah, absolutely. We are, so just this past year, we launched our Docusign community. We are absolutely getting out there more, and offering, of course, like a forum for folks to ask questions, but also lots of events, as well as activations for folks to come together online as well as in person. We're starting to do a lot more meetups across all of our offices, and in addition to that, we're also doing more workshops and partnering across a lot of our partners to show up at their conferences and support those communities. So most recently, we sponsored TDX, both in San Francisco and just recently in Bengaluru. Actually, I think that was just 2 weeks ago. We sponsored a mini hack and did a lot of great work there with the incredible Trailblazer community. Later this year, actually in fall, so Momentum is our user conference, right? To your point, Danny, it's our big business conference. We also just kicked off last year our first builder event by the name of Discover. And we're going to be doing Discover again later this fall. And we're really excited to build. And I know, Danny, you are very much part of that. And we're excited to partner with your team again later this year, and to really build off of the momentum, I guess, pun intended, from, sorry, I have way too many
that was good.
But we're really excited to build off of, last year was our inaugural event. Later this year, we're just really excited to build off of that and do more with our community. And we really welcome, community as a two-way conversation. We really welcome your feedback and your inputs into what do you want to see from us, both obviously in terms of our products, our feedback to Julian and team, but also in terms of the experiences that we provide. We're doing a lot more, but definitely welcome feedback so that we can continue to iterate and improve. And Danny, it's been great to partner with you and get your inputs into how we can build out this community in an authentic and just in a way that really brings value to all of you.
Yeah. Hey, if I can add to that, Danny.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's my plug in the saying, thank you to our longtime existing community of developers, right? I think I really just want to highlight, right, and maybe educate to those that maybe are new. Is a lot of times, when a new exec here at Docusign joins and they ask me, well, why did this matter, right? It's what's in it, right, for us? And, if you look at, Docusign, right, not only our success, our customer success, our partner success, today, integrations, right, that are powered by our platform, our APIs, they're unlocking and powering more than 50% of our transactions. And that is tied to over 1 billion signatures, right, that are actually committed through APIs. So there's a lot there, right? So just that is a huge thank you. And we feel that, hey, with IAM, there's so much more value that we can actually unlock, right? As we kind of take this next chapter forward.
Yeah, plus one to that. Thank you.
No, we've got so many comments that came in. So a lot of people are definitely happy. So, y'all could have been anywhere this Friday morning, decided to hang out with us. That means a lot to me. So hopefully we can honor that time a little bit. People like the meetups, woohoo meetups. I like that. And apparently we have some IAM fans. So I'll go ahead and add that in there too. Kudos to y'all for using IAM and liking it. We're definitely using it at work. There are definitely a lot of fans of it in particular. But Julian, people want to know, and I have to pause for this. People are loving your map. And so now they want to know, Julian, do you have pins in the map for places that you visited?
The story there is that was the plan when with my wife we actually put it on there. So hey, we love to travel. I'm from Argentina, that's why I'm drinking mate, right?
There you go.
We have a thing where every year we're committed to like visiting one new country, and that's kind of like still ongoing, right? But kids got a little into the way, so that's why you see a little less pins, right? But that is definitely the intent.
Hey, they have a tendency to do that, man, but that's fantastic. Oh, what is this? Riches, the meetup MC. Yeah, I'm glad that people are loving the meetups. I'm very, very big on meetups. So I think that's a fantastic way to kind of get the community involved. And I think that's fantastic. And so obviously if you see a Docusign meetup in your area, maybe check it out. See if there's something there for you, especially if you're working at a company. You know what I found interesting? Obviously I was somewhat newer to the whole aspect of Docusign, and Docusign being more than just like an agreement platform, like just a place to like sign a contract is kind of what my mindset was when I first joined this Labs. And then you find out there's so much more to it. And then as I was at Momentum, I met a lot of people that were in the finance industry, in the insurance industry. I met one guy in particular. He says, Danny, we have like 1 million different versions of forms. We can't just use a one-shot go, knock it out, sign there. Like we have so many different variables. And it got me really thinking about how some of these larger organizations are utilizing it. And so I guess, maybe even just kind of, since IAM was a big part of Momentum, maybe we can kind of touch on it in a little bit. Like Julian, like how do you see like IAM playing out for like maybe some of these bigger players? If they're not using it, what should they be thinking about considering? What should be on their top of mind for maybe researching it to see if it's like a good fit for them?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one is I do want to add like the early discussion on meetups, right? For those out there, right? It's like, hey, if you look at DocuSign, we have a significant role across all industries, all verticals, right? Financial services, healthcare, real estate, procurement, sales, right? So if there's a meetup out there, right, that you feel we should be a part of, reach out, right? We would love to be there.
Yes.
We'd love to like help educate in terms of, hey, the things we're actually doing to actually bring value to your corporations and et cetera. So yeah, awesome there. In terms of like, sorry, Gail, did you say something?
I'm sorry. I want to add one more plug to that. Is as we're also hosting more of these meetups across our offices, we're always looking for external speakers too. So in addition to where do you want to see DocuSign show up externally within third-party communities, also please share your ideas, and we're always looking for speakers. So please feel free to reach out to us too. Anyways, sorry, Julian, go for it.
Yeah. No, thank you. I feel like a politician, Danny, right? Where you're asking a question, answering it, but not really answering it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So no, going back to your comment, right? What does DocuSign IAM mean from a builder, partner, developer perspective, right? I think the first thing to recognize, like, we've really transformed like the way and how developers from customers, partners can actually build and integrate with our platform, right? In the past, it was the common use case scenario is like, hey, integrate eSign into your platform, right? Now with IAM, right, we have a combination of new services and APIs that span across the entire lifecycle, so you can really automate and digitalize the way how you can actually create agreements, how you can manage them in different ways. There's a lot of things that actually take, once like an e-signature is captured, right? There's a lot of things that actually take place post that. So we have like new APIs, like so Navigator is our new platform that is it's our new universal unified repository for like storing executed agreements. But on top of that, Navigator actually provides you through a form of API insights, right, that are powered by AI extraction. So as potentially an agreement is actually signed, developers can actually tap into the information, right, that exists that can be extracted from those agreements. So that's just one example of how we're unlocking new ways, right, of how we're actually supporting. On top of that, I think one thing that I want to highlight that Danny, you and the team at this dot, right, have been incredible partners. Is we have a new extensibility platform, and what this means is we now opened up our platform, and we enable partners and developers to bring their products and services natively into our platform. So what this means is, today with IAM, we actually introduced a new automation workflow tool that's called Maestro. Maestro is a low-code, no-code designer tool that allows customers and partners to like build agreement workflows with a simple, drag and drop experience, right? And it also, in that workflow, as you're designing that workflow, it can have many different steps, right? Just beyond capturing these signatures. So you can have identity verification. You can actually read information from a system of record, like a CRM, like a Salesforce. You can also write back information. But the really cool, thing about our platform is now that we've made it open, you partners can actually bring in, or customers can actually build native steps inside of that workflow automation tool. That's what we call technically extension apps. Extension apps are like, small steps, right, that actually run inside of Maestro, our workflow automation tool. And once developers and partners actually build these extension apps, they can also publish them in our new app center, which is the place where you can actually share those extensions, right, with the whole community of Docusign customers, which by the way is 1.5 million. So combination of new technology, combination of reach, where we're actually enabling customers and partners to actually reach the broader extended community. So really, a lot there to actually untap.
And I'm just going to add to that too, that like, we're not just adding AI features here and there. Julian chatted about Navigator, right? Like we're weaving AI throughout the fabric of our entire platform, from create, commit to manage. So we also launched at Momentum Docusign Iris, and essentially like Docusign Iris powers, like it's our dedicated AI engine that powers these features across the entire IAM platform. So I just want to add that in because I know you wanted to get into AI as well. And it's not a buzzword for Docusign. Like we are incorporating it into everything we do. And you see that and you experience that within our product.
So, obviously with the AI, you kind of hit something, the nail on the head there. Docusign Iris was announced. It just came out. I know the booth at Docusign Iris had a line of lines of people trying to find out more about what it's doing, how it's working. Do you want to give like maybe just a brief overview of how companies could potentially use Docusign Iris? Julian or Kelly?
Yeah, well, one example is like what I mentioned before, like with Navigator, right? So again, Iris is like the foundational, right, of the AI, right? That's powering all of intelligent agreement management across every single step of the workflow of managing an agreement. On the create side, for example, we have things like, AI can help you like suggest fields, right? So it's very common that when you're actually signing an agreement, it can actually, maybe in some areas, there's a simple upload of a PDF, right? We actually want to drag and drop like fields, right? AI is helping like simplify and automate that process, right? From either web forms, right, that may be feeding that information inside of agreements, or like just suggesting that the fields for, again, just bootstrapping and improving more like the productivity of the like what we call process builders. On the managed side, right, that last step in the agreement life cycle, right? This goes back to my comment, right? That once the agreement is actually signed, the process doesn't stop there, right? And Navigator is really meant to like unlock, those key challenges, right, that I mentioned before, that organizations really struggle today with, where information that's locked inside of agreements, right? And when it's locked inside of that agreements, accessing that information can be slow. It can lead to like compliance risks, missed deadlines, unfulfilled obligations, and loss in productivity, right? So just untapping that, that information that is, again, powered by our Iris AI extractions can feed to like new types of use cases, right? So now all of a sudden, partners, customers, right, can actually tap into those insights. And all of a sudden, we provide like a single source of truth for agreement data. It, again, eliminates the need for like updating manually systems of record. But more importantly, I think you can actually extend like the capabilities of your products and systems now, where you can actually bring like more agreement aware logic, right? That again, in the past was actually trapped inside of those agreements.
Yeah, and I would just add to that because I know Julian just touched on create and manage with Navigator. When you commit, which is obviously it's the signing and the verifying part, AI is helping us to increase trust and efficiency. So we're using AI for things like risk-based verification, where the platform can dynamically adjust security checks based on the transaction context. So this ensures high trust where it's critical and reduces friction essentially wherever it's needed.
Yeah. And so kind of touching back now on momentum for a bit, right? You know, we've talked about some of the products that they talked about, some of the higher points. You know, I know obviously you work for DocuSign, so there's going to be some kind of certain degree level of bias in some area. But like, genuinely speaking, what was your takeaways? What did you experience? Like, what did you think about the conference as a whole? What did you think about it?
Want to start, Kelly?
Sure. Yeah. I know this sounds cheesy, but I'm cheesy. I was just buzzing like the whole time. Like it was so it just felt electric. Like there were so many of our incredible customers and partners were there. And it was just really, I feel there's just this new wave of excitement and innovation across DocuSign. That I feel very fortunate to be here and to get to drive some of that. And I'd say like the core message that we really delivered is that we're serious. We're serious about building out our intelligent agreement management platform. And we launched several new capabilities as part of that and shared those out. So I think 7 or 8. Julian, correct me if I'm wrong here. But our product and engineering teams have been hard at work to make it happen. I was just really excited by all the buzz and all the feedback. It's how we constantly evolve and improve on our platform. And so I loved it. Thank you for being a part of it.
I was just to add to that, Danny. I think I just love like the blend of like audiences that were there, all the way from like top C-level executives, people that are really in the buy decision, to like middle management, biz dev on the partner side, and all the way down to like builders and developers, right? So just getting an opportunity of actually engaging with them, seeing what resonates, validating, and understanding more of the challenges, the barriers that they have when it comes to like, hey, managing agreements. Just being able to like, sit down and do like a live session and demo, right? To like show them really like the art of the possible and how this is real, right? And just getting that real feedback, that's what conferences are all about. It's that opportunity to engage, to network, and just any opportunity we can do where we have to actually take that on, I will just jump on a plane and be there.
Yeah. And oh, sorry.
Go.
I was just intelligent agreement management, like it's a newer category, right? And so it's really, really important to get out in front of our customers, with our customers and our partners to really share all that we're doing and improve upon it. And so to Julian's point, like these kinds of events are so critical to get that feedback.
Yeah, it was very interesting from my perspective. Like, I was there for Partner Day, which is a day where partners for DocuSign will show up, learn some things, kind of get some things on their like horizon of things to pay attention to. Got a lot of value out of that. But the day of, I got a lot of value too, and the quality of the conversations were so excellent, in my opinion. It gave me a lot to think about. I even got to rub elbows a little bit with Robert Chetwani, president of DocuSign. We hung out in the corner for a little side, so that's like my little claim to fame right there. We got to kind of schmooze and talk about some of the things that he's thinking about, and that was a good experience. There were things that I saw. Well, number one, I learned a lot. Like prime example earlier was some organizations having millions of different forms. Never would have been on my radar.
It's messy.
Yeah.
There's a big problem there, right? Like, yeah, sorry. Continue.
No. It was very eye-opening because I remember when he said it, we were at like this happy hour event. And when he said it, I chuckled and he was dead serious. I was like, oh, this is not a joke. Like, you really have millions of different versions of your form. And I said, why can't there be a streamlined way? Or the other thing that he mentioned was, once the data is submitted on the form, it's flat. We don't really have a way to like get that data back again, except by sending a new form out. So I was like, this is a new challenge that I didn't really enter my radar. And then when I saw everything come out about DocuSign Iris, where you can start searching all these forms, it'll read through OCR, it'll read what's on the form and make it searchable. I'm like, well, this is one way to start tackling that now, and I can kind of see where this could potentially go. When you look at like some of the things that are coming out, obviously you're paying attention to some of the feedback from the customers. You're trying to make your product better. I think it's pretty impressive that you're going from like a contract only platform to we have a slew of tools to just really streamline your business. Especially if like when I'm remembering some of my freelancing days and the way that I was trying to send out contracts and organize it all, it was a mess by itself. And really I would just relied on my Google or whatever email provider I was using, really, to the notifications from there to kind of search through and find which contract I needed at that time. How do you see that evolving? Like, I know they announced a couple really cool things going forward, but like, do you see some evolution happening there? Do you see that these are things now, like for the next couple of years, this is probably going to be the standard that people should be paying attention to?
I definitely think so. I think, Danny, to your point, right? It's like, hey, this is like, it goes back to like that, the agreements wrap is real, right? This is like untapped value that we've heard front and center from our customers, right? That we actually need to like help unlock, right? More or less. And it's a process, right? It takes time, but we feel like, hey, we have the right set of tools and products, right? That are going to help like, tap into those opportunities. Yeah.
Do you see, especially because you've mentioned AI a couple of times, do you see AI being more on it's going to be used within the agreements, or do you see yourself diving more into the whole AI spectrum of like, every buzzword that comes out, we're going to jump on and try and create a solution for? Like, how do you view that going forward? Because there's a delicate balance where, me personally, I've seen some companies, they almost jump the gun, so to speak. They hear a buzzword, they jump on it. The execution isn't necessarily at the highest level, but they want to be included. How do you see DocuSign's balance in there? Do you want to take a more calculated approach? Is it more of we want to make the customers happy in whatever way that we can? How do you find that balance?
I think so we're hyper focused on the entire agreement lifecycle. So when it comes to like, of course we want to make our customers happy, but we do want to take a hyper focused approach in ensuring, we're not going to leech onto every buzzword that comes out. We just want to ensure that essentially like Iris is the AI platform power your engine powering our platform end to end, right? And that we're incorporating the latest and the greatest into everything that we do. And that's so that like essentially you can make the data inside your agreements accessible and actionable, right? And to your point, like there's like companies have so many agreements and it's painful. It's a painful problem. And we want to make that easier. And we know that automation and AI will absolutely accelerate the ease for our customers.
Yeah, it's weird because, I see some companies that will just jump on it. I've seen a lot in the last couple of weeks, but the execution isn't at such a high level. And so, I see people often ask, when are you going to do X? When are you going to do Y? And sometimes the speed of which is not necessarily always the answer, and especially when we're thinking about like enterprise level organizations. So I would kind of put a little caution on some people asking for certain things just because of that. I'm seeing it a lot lately, and it's especially AI. It's all new. Everything is new. Everything is shiny. But sometimes you got to have a little bit of caution there.
Yeah, quality over quantity always. And obviously, like trust is our, like we lean like absolutely. We're going to lean into AI, but foundationally, we need to ensure that there's, that we're secure and that we have that trust throughout our platform end to end.
Yeah. Speaking of trust, I just remember one of the things that were announced at DocuSign Momentum. It's like enhanced identification verification, right? Like y'all partner with Clear, which go figure. I didn't know that I could use them outside of just the airport now. But you're using Clear in some way. Do y'all want to like maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
So if you look at, probably not the best position to like double click Danny, but I'll just highlight, right? One of the, one of the things that Docusign IM is meant to solve is like making the whole experience of like building agreements faster and easier for our customers, right? And this goes back to like, hey, if you look at a typical agreement process, right? It's, there's more things that take place. There's a lot of things that take place before and after, right? And one of the things that actually take place before is the whole identity verification, right? In the sense of, hey, who's this part, the customer. So I think with Clear, it's all about recognizing this opportunity for like, hey, well-established like platform, and then just bring that in, right? So in opening up to actually bringing incremental identity verification, providers such as Clear. So yeah, that's the only thing I'm probably like add. But we can definitely, Kelly, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you covered it. At a broader scale, I think, Danny, we can have a separate chat and bring in our product leaders and product marketing leaders to dive more specifically into Clear. But I'm personally incredibly stoked about it, and we got a ton of feedback and excitement around it at Momentum. Because we all know Clear. We all know how Clear makes our lives easier and saves us time. And that's like that partnership is really important to Docusign. And so we're excited to see where that leads.
So going back to IM for a second, one of the things that we did with our demo, which I really loved, we created like a 3-way integration, right? Where, this.labs, we've made quite a few apps in the Docusign App Center. And one thing that we did for our demo was to create a 3-way integration to where one chain of events would set off another chain of events, which would set up another one, right? Where you wouldn't really need a human layer of intervention to kind of get things going. So to give folks that didn't see the demo an idea, once an agreement is sent to somebody, obviously they get that email saying, hey, you have an agreement ready for you to sign. Once that email is sent, one layer of integration is Asana's dashboard, right? So in Asana in real time, it'll say, hey, this agreement is in pending status. But at that same time, the Slack app is integrated to where it says, hey, XYZ user was sent an agreement. Now, when that user signs it, Asana will then update it in real time to showing a completed status. Then the Slack will ping the key account holder for that account. It'll say XYZ user has signed this agreement. And then the third layer of integration is now having your MailChimp app send an email saying, hey, XYZ user, thank you for signing this, et cetera, whatever you wanted to say, really. But it showed where a lot of this automation integration can kind of just really streamline a lot of the things that you're doing. I think that's pretty impressive. Have y'all thought about what that looks like? Like, do you see like the potential of this being a chaining effect? Do you see it being more value being in the standalone space? Like, where do you see the highest levels of value for it?
I think across probably like all verticals and industries, Danny, if you think about like, an agreement workflow and entailing multiple steps, right, for completing that process. I go back to like some of the research we did last year was, I think on average, especially in large corporations, an agreement workflow can entail about 14 different steps. Call them manual today, but hopefully automated tomorrow. And that goes back to like reading information, bringing that into the actual agreement, validating the identity of that person, signing the agreement, archiving that agreement in a cloud storage provider, updating a system of record, kicking up or updating some other like business system, right, for reporting. So there's a whole like untapped set of opportunities. I think, what you mentioned just now, like, yes, there's like a huge opportunity. Like we need to like provide like out of the box integrations and options, right, that address like different verticals and different use cases or different like local geos. And that's where like App Center and our whole open extensibility platform is of huge value for both customers and our partners. But one of the other things I think we've seen is like, there's still, a lot of our customers, right, actually rely on like information that resides inside of their internal systems, right? And one of the things that we've also launched recently tied to like this whole notion of extension apps is this notion of like private apps. So what private apps really like enable is organizations, right, that maybe like need to build integrations that tap into like private internal databases, right? They can actually build these apps that connect to these data sources, and they can use them across multiple different workflows, right? But without having the need of actually publishing that app, publicly, right? So it's more for their internal use and their more internal consumption. So that's a key need, a key problem that we've heard, and we've already seen some customers actually adopt it. So.
Fantastic. And so now, kind of bringing it back and making a call to the chat. Especially if you're on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend showing Docusign developer page some love. All the events that they do, conferences, meetups, obviously all that information will be there, but that page is specifically geared towards developers as a whole. So if you're looking for resources or value, that's probably going to be a really great source of truth to find a lot of stuff that they're involved with. It's on my radar. I check it pretty frequently, to be honest, a lot of the content gets served up by LinkedIn to me. So, but it's probably because I interact with it so much. Highly recommend checking that out. But if you're on Twitter, it's the same handle, Docusign Developers. I believe it's the same on all platforms, really. So you can kind of just see if it's on the platform if you're watching this, more than likely, you're going to have a way to kind of check it out. So highly recommend checking it out there, wherever you are, and kind of just following them. So show some love there if you can.
I mentioned earlier that we launched our new community hub. And so absolutely recommend you also join our community. That's community.docusign.com. We would love to hear from you. As I mentioned, we're investing a lot more in this space and in our people and our communities. So in addition to obviously our developer site, we'd love to hear from you there.
Yeah, I'll drop that in the chat as well for everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Let me put that on here. And we will also tag Docusign developers. There we go. We got both tagged. All right.
Awesome.
So on Twitter, you should have both links. On LinkedIn, you should have both links. And same thing on YouTube. If you're in the live chat, you should have both links as well now. Cool. Well, then I guess with you investing so much in community.docusign.com, are there certain events that people should be paying attention to, or are there certain activities they should be getting prepared for?
Yeah, we are going to be hosting Discover again later this fall. So more to come on that. I can't share yet the specific date or location, but I can say that it's happening, and more to come. So please stay tuned. As far as events, going back to our new community site, we always post our events within community. So if you join, you will be the first to know. Also, when we launch new betas, we want to ensure that our community is also the first to know. And so we're working to make it a space for all of you. And again, for all of you to also share feedback so that we can continuously improve.
Yeah, and I'll throw this out here. If you're following me on social media, you've probably already seen it in one way, shape, or form. In the middle of the night, I've gotten very little sleep because of this. We launched the commityourcode.com website for Commit Your Code 2025. Already, I think we've sold 70 tickets since this morning. So people are buying. For those that don't know, our conference is definitely not on the scale of Docusign, unfortunately. But maybe one day. But for
sure
us,
it will be.
Our goals are more on the charity side, right? So for us, 100% of our ticket sales are donated direct to charity. For us, we have 110 speakers joining us this year, and of that 110, it's a 2-day conference, and the ticket prices start at $49. So highly recommend checking that out. Of course, your meals will be covered for both days. The after party that we have after day one is also covered. So if you want to find out more, check out commityourcode.com. Highly recommend checking that out. You might find some of your favorite people in the world of tech hanging out there in Dallas this year. So, and I believe it'll be before DocuSign's thing, so then you can go check out their thing after that as well. So you never know, right? Perfect. Streamline it. Create a whole pipeline of conferences and events for people to go to.
Yes.
And I just got these 2 CTAs. Let me drop these in the chat for everybody. So I'm dropping this one here, and I'm dropping this one here. Perfect. All right, perfect. I shared those links out as well. And so I guess kind of harping on Julian, Julian, what are you getting involved with now that you'd want to talk about? Are there certain things that are top of mind for you?
I think one thing that we've been discussing and talking about lately, tied to community is, with AI, right? I think one of the things that you're probably seeing in the industry, especially from a builder developer perspective, is engagement is different. it's changing, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
you probably many people on this stream have seen like, hey, many companies like reporting their website traffic is going down, or companies like Stack Overflow that report like, hey, 30% of like their Q&A is actually gone down, and that's just because, hey, how we builders, devs, right, potentially engage with platforms is very different, right? It's like now in the past, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years ago, my best friend used to be Google. Maybe that's changed, right? So as we think about kind of like, hey, meeting devs where they are, right? This big principle, right? When you think about the glass dev experience, it's like, hey, really like trying to like unlock, what does that mean? We're working on like a new VS Code extension that's leveraging
nice.
GitHub, right, from an AI perspective. So, and that's not only from the notion of like boosting productivity for like code gen, et cetera, but it's also like tied to like, again, engagement around like discovery, right? Like learning about a platform, right? So how do we like tap into more of that, right? And what does that mean from like a broader DevX, right? So those are things like we're actually thinking about and looking, and I don't want to say it's keeping me up, but it's something to really think about.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, like just with, we've recently been kicked off an engagement with Catchy, developer marketing agency. And we were chatting with the team there and just learning more about like, our experience and the content that we build is built for people today, right? But in the future, like there's just a lot of opportunity to, as AI agents are, even, not just influencing, but making purchasing decisions in the future. It's important to also build our content for machines, and build our market to machines and people, right? Like there's just a lot that we're learning, and we want to be sure that we're ahead of the curve there. And so we're constantly experimenting, iterating, evolving. And it's really exciting to think about where this is going to take us. And we want to make sure we're staying ahead.
I like it. Okay. And so, well, I guess one question that I have as a side is back to communities is my thing. I'm really big on meetups. I'm really big on events. And so knowing that y'all are trying to do more meetups this year, I find pretty interesting. And so have y'all thought about like, if somebody wanted to maybe do a Docusign themed event at their own meetup group, like, have you thought about like what some of those topics could potentially be, or if like there's some resources that they could check out where maybe they can get like meetup talk topics that they could share?
Absolutely. So I would say,
Okay.
Julian, touched on our Navigator API. We have Maestro, our new workflow builder tool, which also the Maestro API is in beta currently. We've got so many tools across the entire agreement lifecycle, and we now have an advocacy team that is out building content, and I'm sure would be happy to pull together a talk track and slides in concert with my team, for folks to share more about the platform and how that can unlock new opportunities for businesses and developers. And so, yeah, would be happy to provide that. There's a lot to talk about. I think it just depends on what you want to talk about. But there's a lot there.
Okay. So I would say if anybody's interested in that, check out the Docusign developers page or join that community. Probably a good way to kind of find out whenever that stuff comes out. So that way you could probably leverage it if you want to.
Yeah. And Paige and team are very active in that community. So I'd say that's absolutely where to go.
I like it. All right, y'all. I generally try to keep my spaces or live streams under an hour. I feel like we're at a good point right now. So what I would ask you to do, if you haven't already, go follow the Docusign pages right now. If you're not following me, but you're in this live stream, follow me too. Like, I don't know how you got here, but I'm glad that you're hanging out. Follow me too. And then check out the links that we shared. You should see the links in YouTube. You should see it on Twitter as well as LinkedIn. Highly recommend checking those out. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We have the Commit Your Code Discord. You can find the links on dthompsondev.com, where you can ask any questions. And we can even share some of those resources there if you have a question about it to kind of help you out as well. So outside of that, y'all, it's been real. It's been fun. And we will see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Danny.
Bye. Thanks for having us.